Hello and welcome to Rando Rob. Each week on Rando Rob, I'll be showing and discussing one item from my large collection of collections. New shows appear every Monday, and throughout the week, I'll be adding older episodes of Rando Rob that were previously only available to my Patreon subscribers. You can watch episodes of Rando Rob on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob O'Hara. Just look for the Rando Rob playlist. Audio versions of the show are available on my website at podcast.robohara.com or through iTunes. Just search for Rando Rob. Thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you enjoy this vintage episode of Rando Rob. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rando Rob. I hope you had a good week last week. I have continued working on all the things here in my home office. I'm unboxing things that I haven't seen in years and putting shelves up. I plan to put shelves on that wall directly behind me as well, which I think will be make some of these videos more interesting. There'll be stuff back there to look at, and just, you know, I love collecting stuff. I love acquiring things, but to me, if they're not out where I can see them, then there's no point in it. It's not that I don't get enjoyment out of things being in storage. I get the opposite of enjoyment. I mean, it frustrates me when I know that I have cool things that are sitting in boxes or in the garage or somewhere where I can't see them, you know. So anyway, as I've been setting up things here in the room and unpacking stuff, I ran across a couple of cups that all share a common theme. And if you see what I've got posted there next to me, you probably know what that theme is. So I thought I would show those to you this week. I thought you might get a kick out of seeing them. The first one is a mug. And here, let me put it here where you can see the logo. Obviously, you know who this is on the mug. This is Pac-Man. I don't know if you can read that, but it says copyright 1980 Midway. So this is an original vintage mug. Now, I did not own this back in the 80s. And in fact, I believe right there you can see there's a price tag of $5 that I found this for somewhere many years ago. This mug uses the side art that appears on the arcade cabinet of Pac-Man. It's a very strange depiction of Pac-Man. You can see that he has feet, which he does not have feet in the arcade game. He barely has legs, though. His feet are actually much longer than his legs, which is kind of weird. He also has red eyes, which is a strange choice. Now, I know that they had to paint the side art on the side of the cabinets, and they had a limited palette, but I think I would have gone with white eyes, don't you? I don't know, maybe that wouldn't have stood out as much, but the red eyes are an odd choice. Then we have a Pac-Man right there, which looks a lot more similar to Pac-Man as he appears in the arcade game. He's eating a blue power pellet, which is probably a design choice just to get different colors in this. You can see that Pac-Man has an arm, which is strange. No legs or anything, but he does have an arm. And then they used the thing that they did for a while, which was Pac-Man has smaller Pac-Man for eyeballs, which is strange. Again, if you think about it, it's kind of like drawing a stick man and then using smaller stick men for the stick man's eyeballs. It's weird. On the other side of the mug here, we can see one of the ghosts. He has been turned blue. His mouth is red. We also see, for some reason, the top of the inside of his mouth there in the corner, which is also red, which kind of shows, I guess, that he doesn't have any teeth. He just has gums inside his mouth. That's a weird thing to think about. But he's obviously scared. We have some more power pellets that are clear, and then there's a red power pellet, just some random colors that are on there. We do have the Pac-Man logo that you can see there that would be familiar from the arcade. But this is copyright. This is original 1980 Pac-Man mug. So, you know, I had my wife had built for me for my 30th birthday. We had a storage building in the backyard, and she surprised me for my birthday and turned it into an arcade. And so I had taken in one little area, and I had put arcade games in there and stuff, and it was very cool. But I took one area and I put a set of shelves in the corner, and I started buying and collecting arcade memorabilia. And so that's probably around the time that I bought this mug, probably in the early 2000s. We started decorating the building. She decorated it for my 30th birthday, which would have been in 2003. So that's probably around the time I had this mug. Now, the second one that I will show you is kind of interesting here. This is a different design. It's very busy and it's very cool, and I love it very much. And it has the kind of the next level of marketing or branding that we see of Pac-Man. And so here's Pac-Man. Let me hold it like this so you can see. We've got all the ghosts. He's obviously carrying a blue ghost there. Other ghosts are running away, and he's chomping on a pink ghost. Now, you know, what's interesting about all this marketing for Pac-Man is that, like, when you see this, and this was a logo, a design that you saw on T-shirts. We saw this a lot of different places. But none of these marketing things really line up with what's happening in the arcade game. I mean, the arcade game, if the ghosts were colors, Pac-Man should be running from them, and he should only be eating them if they are blue, because he's eating, you know, the super power pellet in the corner. So the fact that he's eating one that's non-blue, I mean, I don't know if this drove people crazy or not. I know it feels like a nitpicking or whatever, and obviously it's it's better advertising if you have, you know, different colored ghosts instead of having them all blue. But it's just it feels a little bit strange because everybody knows what Pac-Man looks like and how Pac-Man works. On the back side of this glass, you can see the little maze, and we see Pac-Man going around there. And I haven't really looked at this. I'm just kind of looking at this real time with you. I never really thought about this, but you know, the way that the dots are. First of all, the bottom of the maze is really squished. Like, there's no way Pac-Man could get through the bottom down there, which is odd. And then we have random places where the dots are missing, but there's no way he could have eaten those dots and got out. So it's not 100% accurate, you know, but it's close enough where if you were looking at this, you would go, oh, it's Pac-Man, you know. Pac-Man glass, and you've got the logo again there. This one at the bottom says copyright 1980 Arby's. So this would have been a collectible glass that they were giving away for something. I remember having this when I was younger. I don't honestly remember if this is the same one I had when I was a kid or if this is something I picked up again over time. It's in pretty good condition, but none of these collector glasses, these particular ones, I don't use on a daily basis. Now, I have, like, for example, the vintage McDonald's glasses, and I have a full set. I have them actually on a shelf right here above me. But over the years, I've ended up with extras. Well, the extras just go into rotation, you know? I mean, I could easily be drinking water out of a, you know, Hamburglar glass or a Return of the Jedi glass or whatever. It's not recommended. They don't recommend that you use these because they used lead paint on these, which could come off. But I think you would literally have to eat like 1,000 of these glasses, scrape off all the paint and eat it to have it, you know, really affect you. You know, I mean, maybe I'll go down. It's kind of like cookie dough. Like they say, don't eat cookie dough. I've literally been eating cookie dough since I was 3 years old. I mean, not continually, but off and on occasion. And, you know, I've never got sick. I've never got salmonella. I've never got all those things that they warn you about. So I just feel like that's one of the things in life I'm willing to take chances. I mean, you know, normally when you hear people say, oh, I take chances, you know, I skydive or I, you know, climb mountains or whatever. I mean, my idea of taking chances is eating raw cookie dough and drinking out of children's glasses that may or may not have enough lead paint on them to hurt me. So I don't really feel like a wild man by doing those things, but I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. So yeah, I'm looking up there. Like, definitely have the Star Wars glasses. I have a full set of Burger King glasses, which are kind of rare and could make an appearance at some point on Rando Rob. And I have all different kinds of glasses. But in the cabinet in the kitchen, there's, you know, I know there's a Holly Hobby glass. There's a Great Muppet Caper glass. There's all different kinds of glasses. There's definitely some Smurf glasses that have made it into rotation. So I don't know that the kids necessarily love them. I think they think it's kind of weird. But for me, when I was a kid, our cabinet was full of those kind of glasses. And so when I pick up a Smurf glass and drink Kool-Aid out of it, or Crystal Light these days, I'm not only reminded of Smurfs in general, you know, and that whole nostalgic thing, but I'm reminded of my childhood when we also had those similar glasses or same glasses, little Garfield glasses, all the different kinds of glasses. So I enjoy having them in rotation. I think they're pretty fun. The third glass, this one is much heavier. The glass on this is thicker, and this one seems like it's not as bad as another one that I have, but it's the glass itself is getting a little cloudy in spots, and so I'm not sure what causes that. I've definitely washed it in the dishwasher, but I'm not sure if it's going to completely cloud over or not. It's not too bad yet, but this is a third. Now this is a mug, and like I said, it's very heavy duty. Now I'm gonna just so you can see this, we can see it's the same. You know, obviously the artwork that they were using, a little bit different in the background. But what's interesting is, of course, they've changed the colors of the ghosts. You can see he's carrying a red one now instead of a blue one, and so I'm sure they just used, you know, this same thing and changed it from time to time. So it's slightly different, but it's, you know, pretty much the same. Also, notice that in the old one, no, those are both the same. I was going to say in the other one that his eyes were a different color, but that was on the other mug. So this is kind of just a heavy-duty mug. You can see we've got the same design on both sides of the mug here. So here's to you. I have definitely drank milk and probably beer out of this mug before. But right now it has been retired to the collection of arcade glasses that are sitting over there on the shelf. So, you know, in the 1980s, I mean, of course we have the song Pac-Man Fever, and that does kind of sum up what Pac-Man was like, and even more so Miss Pac-Man. You know, I think Miss Pac-Man, most people agree, is a better game than Pac-Man. Just because Pac-Man has certain rules and patterns, and once you learn those things, you can get pretty far. I know Billy Mitchell was just trying to, I believe he just did, in fact, win a perfect game of Pac-Man, which is to beat every level, and on every level, eat all 4 ghosts all 4 times, and every piece of fruit, never missing any of those things until the game crashes after the 255th level. And so if you could do those things without dying, that is considered to be a perfect game of Pac-Man. And he just did that. I believe it takes about 6 hours. Now, I can tell you on Pac-Man, the arcade game, I could play for about 4 minutes. Pac-Man is not my game. I'm not good at tracking different things that are moving on the screen at the same time. It's never been my game, so I'm not good at it. You know, Donkey Kong, there's a lot of different barrels moving, but pretty much you only got to deal with the one that's right in front of you at the time. And on Pac-Man, you can't do that. You have to, you know, look ahead and see where things are, where the ghosts are, you know, to plan your path. And so I've never been good at Pac-Man, but certainly I do remember, you know, I was probably 7 when Pac-Man came out. I do remember all the hype. I remember kids at school wearing Pac-Man shirts. I remember going to, I think Pac-Man might have been the first arcade game I remember. I'm trying to think. I believe this is right. Going to an arcade and seeing more than one of the same machine. Now, there wouldn't be, you know, 3, but there might be 2. But I definitely remember seeing, you know, multiple Pac-Man arcade cabinets at the same place. So, you know, all the stuff about Pac-Man Fever, you know, and just people going to the arcades and stuff, it was all true. And it was, you know, when you look at other games at the time, Donkey Kong would be a little bit, I guess, in the same, well, pretty comparable, but other ones not. If you look at things like Asteroids, or Galaga or Space Invaders and stuff like that. Like Space Invaders is a good example. Space Invaders is just as famous, I think, as Pac-Man in as far as arcade circles go, but like I don't remember a lot of people wearing Space Invader shirts or having Space Invader lunchboxes or knowing the names of the Space Invaders. But Pac-Man did do that. I mean, there were kids in my class that, you know, probably didn't spend a lot of time playing Pac-Man that had Pac-Man lunchboxes or watched the Pac-Man cartoon show later or had heard Pac-Man Fever. So it kind of, not only was it super popular in arcades, but it invaded, you know, regular life as well. So it crossed over. So Pac-Man, here's to you for making your way into the real world and onto many different glasses and cups and mugs that I own and still display to this day. These are copyright 1980, and it is 2020. So these are 4 years old. I should say that this one, it says copyright 1982. So they were still cranking things out, which is another thing about staying power. If you think about an arcade game and having merchandise still be made 2 years later, it's kind of a testament to how popular Pac-Man was. So looks like the star field in the background here on old Rando Rob is made it throughout the whole episode. So I was copying some files and I paused that right before, so maybe that was the issue. So maybe the starry background will live to see another broadcast. We'll have to see that. So hey, welcome to all my Patreons. I meant to say that at the top of the show, that if we've expanded the scope of Rando Rob, and it's no longer just the 16-bit supporters, but also I've expanded it to include the 8-bit supporters, who are the vast majority of my supporters. It's everybody that comes together that's making the show great. I will, you know what? I'm going to show this, even though I'm probably going to be talking about this on the next Sprite Castle. But this is what the Patreon funds went for this month. And I say this month because I got billed for it this month. It's the C64. It finally showed up. I've talked about it a little bit on shows. This is the pre-order, the NTSC version. I'll show you the back. That I pre-ordered back in August, and I just arrived late last week. So I showed the box at the end of the Karateka stream, but if you didn't watch that, then you can see the box right there. So I've literally last night hooked it up for the first time and just started running it through its paces, and I'll probably be doing the whole next episode in 2 weeks of Sprite Castle, covering the C64 and my thoughts on that. So, but 100% that came, I think I kicked in a little bit extra, but that was, what Patreon went for. And I'm hoping to be able to integrate that into the shows and stuff in the future. And even though it's not 100% accurate as far as a vintage or real Commodore 64, it's certainly a very convenient way to sit down and play games as I do research for them for the show. So it's going to help out with the show, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I hope everybody else enjoys it too. So anyway, this has been Retro Rob. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you on the Patreon and on the shows and everywhere else. Have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon.